Coming into center, please. So we just start to slow down the energies here. Nokoya daki. You can feel the body start to vibrate dokosha I chakaya at a bit more of an erratic frequency as it starts to anticipate connecting into these ranges. So we just want to clear here any past damage in relation to this interconnection through the solar plexus. Good, and starting to clear through the glands of the neck. There's a very strong presence that is beginning to show here. Feels like a very strong masculine range, and yet the message that is coming through is not as much energy that is directing as this would be very helpful for you to know and to understand. Good. So there's a big calming through the heart space with that impression here. Because we can feel that connecting in to energies from beyond can be quite a scary experience here, because there has been so much trauma, because there has been so much deception. And so these energies are coming through very strongly with this sense of this is not something you must do or must connect to. It is a message that can serve you if it feels to be in alignment with what you feel. This will be very potent, and yet ultimately it is neutral in how it is being delivered in terms of connecting to the fields. So connecting through the energy of neutrality. So again, let's clear here through the sacral this time. Wherever the energy fields are primed to respond to deception. And the way that we could describe this is similar to how we see a lot of trauma bonding, where the energy is so intense, we tend to misinterpret or misjudge whether it's actually helpful or harmful. Or a more neutral way of saying that would be whether or not it is helpful or unhelpful according to where you are choosing and deciding to go. It's actually coming through as the trajectory you are choosing to follow on your path, knowing that everyone has their own path. There are different, let's say, evolutionary choices that can be made that will create higher and more potent outcomes. As each person has their own path, there are many different trajectories that could be created or followed. And in fact, it's both. We start to feel the energies in the field start to become a bit dizzy with this opening up of these possibilities here. So this is all through the feminine range, these energetic trajectories that are starting to show. So we want to come in here because we can actually feel through the human, the energy fields start to repel. It's almost like this is a really nice idea. Yes, I know I would like a different future. I know it's possible. I know it's available. And yet there's also a sense of what feels probably subconsciously this inability to even realize is how it's coming through. But inherent in that word is really an inability to connect through the body in a way that feels real. So we come in here to find this, it's like an origin point here. It's like, how do you start to engage with something that you have never engaged in with before? So if you are looking at something or thinking about doing something, it's very intangible until you start taking some physical steps to connect with it, right? So just like if you think perhaps about going back to school, you aren't just suddenly in school. You have to research, figure out what program, take the steps to apply, et cetera, right? So that eventually you show up in a place where that starts to be a physical interaction. Then it's very similar here, where yes, I want a new and different future. Figuring out and pinpointing here, kosha ichaya, through the embodiment, what that first contact, ahano oshashi shahaya, would be. So as we say that too, it opens up the field here to collaborate. And again, these energies keep coming through with this. We're not here to force ourselves on you. This is not something you have to do. But if you feel this and if you choose to connect, these energies can be incredibly supportive. So again, we feel to come in through the solar plexus. So actually, this feels to be in the gut. Okay, and we were seeing this earlier, and this is really what prompted coming in and connecting to these ranges, was that we were seeing energies that almost felt like butterflies, like they were very potent pods of energies. They were moving energy, almost breaking down the density in and around the solar plexus. Part of what we were seeing, so these are coming in here and they're moving all around. So if you start to feel tightening in your belly, just know that this is your initial resistance here, and this is perfectly okay. You always want to check and only soften into it. If you are truly wanting and desiring, if this truly feels safe, of course we know with so much trauma, things that are potentially good for us can also feel very off-putting. So it's not ever a simple yes or no, which is why I always clear. Anytime there is an energy coming in, I always ask to clear any distortion associated with it, that may have been associated with it in the past. So with these energies, there's something about wings, and how it was coming through was to imagine if you had a pair of wings. If you had the intention to fly, there would be a thought that preceded the movement of the muscles that control the wings, right? So there is that initial intention and the thought behind that intention. And what we're being shown is that this is actually the most important part of the entire process. Is this embedding or imbuing this intention. So, and I wonder now if the reason it's coming through as wings, because I start to feel it through the front of the heart, like flexing these shoulders here, through the back side of the heart. So this initial intention and desire, and now I'm feeling it in the solar plexus as well. If you can imagine that initial intention setting this origin point, and this is the important piece here. as I was just reviewing an old sketch video where I was talking about creation, and I was talking about the process of creation, and I was talking about when we create something and it's not quite exactly what we would like, that we recycle it back to source, right? Rather than continuing to build on something that is incorrect or not how we would totally like it, that we kind of completely allow it to be returned back to source, so that you can use this understanding when you have set an intention and when you are setting about creating a different future for yourself. There are going to be times where we get sidetracked, where we get off track, where we fall into negativity, where we forget, we get lost, we get confused. The point there where we feel we are off or lost, or maybe we're failing, it's not to take that point and create on it then. That's like an alternate timeline, right? An offshoot of that. That would be miscreation, right? So instead of beating yourself up and feeling bad and feeling like you're getting it wrong, it is to return to this point of origin where the intention was first set, to return to that feeling, to return to that place of knowing, and allow that to nourish you, to build you back up. It's not that you have returned all the way down to the bottom and have to start all over. But it's also not that you get to a place where you are discouraged and then you start creating based on that discouragement and creating more distortion in your life then. So you could even imagine your starting point being at the base, imagining a vertical line moving up. We're going to keep following this path, this intention, holding into this feeling in everything that we do, holding this vision in everything that we do, understanding the underlying values that are driving this vision, this decision, this future that you are wanting to create, right? That this runs in a very vertical way. So if at any point you start to feel confused and lost and negative, that would start, and if you start to follow that energy or to create within that energy, that would create almost like a horizontal line out to the side then from this vertical line, right? So this is what we mean by almost an alternate timeline. And actually, as I'm saying this, the left side of the solar plexus starts to really cramp and feel a lot of pain here. Oh, there's a lot of sadness here. Choto kosha I chahoya chataki chakoya. So we're going to link that sketch video. It might just help you visualize what we're speaking of here. Tahano kokosha I chataki chahoya. So we'll put that in the description box. Jano kosha I chataki. So let's come back to this energy of flexing the wing, or the energy, really, it's the energy that is moved by flexing this heart muscle, right? And what is this heart muscle? Here it feels to be desire. Kosha I chatakai. And this is why it's also important to know that what you are desiring, it must truly fill up your heart. Otherwise, there is no source inside of you that could fuel it, that could fully sustain it. We actually start to see where this would be similar to, as we were describing that vertical channel, right? That origin of the intention. And then if we hit into confusion or negativity, that would create a horizontal line off to the right side here of distortion, right? Creating through distortion then. Similarly, I'm starting to see off to the left side. This would mean leading up to the setting of that intention. Where are you coming from? So it seems like almost feeling like you have to formulate your ideas based on what you already see here. So almost like picking and choosing pieces. Like, well, this is what it is over here. So I guess I have to, if I'm thinking about wanting to make more money, I see it's being done in this way, and this way, and this way. And so the best option for me is that I would like to do it in this way, right? But it's still pulling from what already is, and it's not natural tokoshai to your specific energy field. Tokoshai cha tokoshai. Not to say that you can't do something in a way that someone else is already doing. That's not at all what's being said here. But what is being indicated here is that it must fully koshai. Oh, wow. Now we're getting massive deja vu sitting here, speaking here. The koshai. Okay. It must fully feel. It's similar to the word resonance, chokoshai, but it must feel as if it birthed from inside of you, right? Which is kind of what we might describe as inspiration, chokoshai. So not only did it well up inside of you like inspiration does, but also is it inspiring to you, meaning that once you feel this and once you have made this decision or connected into this idea, does it give you more energy? Are you excited about it? Because if you're not excited about it, there is not actually true life force behind it. Now, this is assuming that you're in a clear place and you're not totally stressed and feeling like, you have to make decisions on the fly because something needs to be done right now, right? This is assuming we are sitting, we're stable, we're clear, we're feeling into our energies. So let's clear through the solar plexus here. We can feel all this kind of muck now, as we try to reorient to this understanding. There's a big clearing through the heart with this too, through the heart base. Chokoshai chahaya no korokoshai. Chatokoshai chokoshai chokoshai hanoya. So these are the most important pieces. That what you are inspired to choose to create in terms of a different future for yourself, that it actually feels like it is welling up from inside of you. And this is even if you were to get the inspiration outside of you, right? You see something, someone says something, whatever it might be, but it creates a charge as you are contemplating it, as you are dreaming around it. There is some kind of spark. And then once you are on this path and you are making decisions to bring you more and more strongly in this direction, to not become frustrated if it feels like you are off, if it feels like you have fallen into negativity. Return back to the origin of that swelling within you. So let's actually come into the energetic womb space here. And clearing. And this is again where we start to see these like butterfly energies. They're a bit like sparkles. And what's so beautiful about them is that as they are disrupting the density, they are dismantling the negativity that has been hanging out here for so very long. There's a sense that the potency increases, right? So it's not just that it's dismantling what always has been or old ideas or old ways of thinking or old, even really what it is, it's the chemicals. So much in this gut area, right, is about these kind of feel-good chemicals that are created here. But it's that it's almost... it catapults chokosha. There's an increase in potentiality here. There's a potency which overrides the impotence that has been here. Chanokosha I chatakasha I chahota I chokoya. So it creates almost a feeling of a charge. Anahota I shishishanaki. So again, to know as we are moving on this path in this direction, following this energy of these intentions that are set, we can always return back here to the origin of this potency. And it is not like having to start back at the beginning or go back to the beginning. In fact, what it feels like is if we ever have to come back down and remind ourselves that it actually, again, there's a sense of creating an even greater charge because we are bringing back what we have learned, perhaps, reassessing, building in more data, let's say more wisdom here. So actually increasing the potency whenever we come back to revisit the origin. Good. There's clearing through the backside of the energetic womb space here with this, into the lower back, into the root, into the base of the spine, activating through the base of the heart. And now let's come into the brainstem because we can start to feel a bit of panic around the mind and the thought process, how the thought process gets involved and potentially derails or adds distortion or negativity to the initial intention. Inspired action. Okay, so just as we have talked about the inspiration and that original creation or the original intention, inspired action will also have a similar sense to it. Now, again, there could be times and there could be things that we come in contact with that also scare us, because if we are making such enormous changes, right? Changing thought patterns, changing the way we perceive things, changing the way we think about things, those are not easy things to do. And because of the human body and the way that it is built and designed and the way that it functions in this reality, many things, again, that are powerful and potent and rightly for us can feel challenging, can feel scary, can feel tricky to navigate. But there is a similar or like-minded recognition. We can say that any creation is essentially an essence in and of itself. It's just like when we have a child, right? They are their own person. They are their own unique being. Whatever it is that you are desiring to create, you can imagine it like a project or a child. Even if it has not fully come into physical fruition, whatever that child is when it is born, the essence of it was birthed from this initial spark, this initial intention. So it is essentially the same thing. So that anything that is added to it in terms of the project or the decision or the dream we are following or desiring to create for ourselves, it will have a similar essence or resonance inherent in it. So it is to get to know the energetic signature of your dream, of this future life you are wanting to create, of this project. Get to know it as its own being, its own entity. Learn how to converse with it. And when you are making choices along this path, do they also resonate as that essence? Good. So the energies are starting to step back here. And they are very pleased that this has been received. I can feel this through the ears. I can feel this through the glands. You are not only the creator, you are the instruction set for the code of this creation. Know that the universal forces come in to meet you at this core intention and core decision. There is a sense of not needing, again, to go off to the right or off to the left, looking wandering. Chokoshai, chatakoshai. There's a feeling of sit in your commander's chair. Chokoshai. Allow things to come to you. Allow things to be revealed to you. Allow things to be shown to you. Koshai chaya. And make your decisions from this chair, from this seat. Tokoshai chaya. Again, it's not to say that you shouldn't take action and you shouldn't go out looking for things physically. This is to say that feeling the energy in your belly, feeling it in your root, feeling it in the seat, tokoshai chakaya, of your soul here, chohoshai, that is the alignment. That is the truth. Chahoshai. You can almost feel it all the way through the body, right? From the core, within the core. Koshai chatakai. Get to know that sensation. Chohoya taki. Choya taki. As your code gets written into all things that you create. Chokoshai. It is within you and within your creation. Chokoshai chokoya takai. Good. So just clearing through the back side of the field. Tahoshai chataki. We just offer gratitude. Chahonokoshai chakai chashaki. To your field. Tokoshai. Wishing to extend. Tokoshai chaya. The light here. Tohoshai. To your energy field. Healing and clearing, offering peace and grace within and around you, Chahokoshai. And to all that you connect with, Chokoshai. We thank you so much for being here, Tokoshai. Namaste.